Yo, what's up? Welcome inside the opening line. Corey Parson, the fantasy executive. Your boy Benny Ricciardi. Benny, what's good with you, my man?
Not too much. It's a pretty slow day for sports last night, Corey. Watched a little bit of preseason NBA action. Caught up on Power. I don't know if you're a fan or not, but
I've never had Stars, but that's why I've never had a chance to see it.
Yeah, I haven't. I didn't watch the episode from this weekend. So last night started watching a little basketball. Then I put it on the little TV. Wifey and I watched the new episode of Power, which was pretty crazy. I don't know if you watch it too much, but Lala, Carmelo Anthony's wife.
Yes.
Yeah, she died last night.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace to Lala. Nah, knock on wood. Shout out. Like I said, Benny, I've never had Stars, so I've never had a chance to watch Power.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, the thing I like about it too is like it's based on New York City, so anytime you have a cool show and it's based in your area, like I watched every Sopranos episode too because it was a New Jersey thing, and the opening credits, they drive right by a couple things by my house on his way out to the burbs. So always a big fan when your local hometown gets a shout out one of these big shows.
Hydro PU, Sopranos. So all right, Benny, let's get ready to hop in and get it started for the day. I want to start with some NFL stuff right quick. Go with some latest news and stuff as we get ready to head into the weekend. It looks like Todd Gurley could be playing on Sunday. If not, it creates a problem. Even if he does play, though, Benny, it's like, ugh.
Yeah, I mean, if he plays, I think you got to roll him out there.
No doubt.
The other interesting thing, too, Corey, is that Malcolm Brown didn't practice yesterday.
Yep.
And, I mean, people have been waiting all year for Henderson to get his chance. He looked pretty good last week in the carries that he had. So I actually think that he's somebody we got to start considering, at least longer term. He may be somebody hanging out on your waiver wires. This guy's got talent, and you know that Gurley has an injury history, and if Malcolm Brown's going to be banged up right here, I wouldn't doubt that at some point this season Henderson winds up, taking the role that he was drafted for as, kind of the lead dog.
No doubt, especially things. I wouldn't be surprised if things took a downturn this season for Jared Goff and the Rams, and then get to the point where they start wrapping people up. I love one of my best bets this weekend is the Falcons, and I think what we're seeing with Atlanta is they're getting beat up on defense. I don't think Jared Goff can beat anybody up on defense.
I don't know. I think this game is going to be like a 30-30 kind of barn burner.
Doubt.
You know what I mean? So for fantasy, there's going to be a lot of fantasy points that come out of this game because I think both of these teams are going to be able to put up some points.
One of the things, every week for The Athletic, I do the beat writer report. My question yesterday, I haven't got a response yet, was will the Bucs trade O.J. Howard? Reports coming out of Tampa now that the Buccaneers will not trade O.J. Howard. Mm-hmm. My thing is, Benny, you're not using him.
Well, and also just in roster construction in general, you're paying big money to two tight ends. Cameron Brate has a good contract too. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Again, I mean, O.J. Howard in this offense just really hasn't clicked. He hasn't popped. He hasn't set off. And the guy is way too talented not to be putting up numbers or not to at least be included a little more in an offense. So, I mean, I don't know if I heard the same thing that they don't want to trade him, but it just kind of makes sense that they would. So I don't know.
No doubt about it. So we discussed Jalen Ramsey. It's going to be interesting to see how the situation with Ramsey plays out if he gets on the field this week for that matchup versus the Falcons. If I'm Ramsey, my back is still bothering me until I get a contract extension.
Well, I mean, I kind of hope his back is still bothering him because then we can roll out there, Julio Jones and all the guys. Like I said, I think there's going to be 30-something points on each side of this game. I think it's the highest total right now. It started at 53. It's up to 55 already. I wouldn't even be shocked if it actually goes over that, how bad these defenses are and, how explosive both of these offenses can be. I mean, I think this is going to be a game where we see – I'm not even kidding, Corey. There's going to be 80 passes in this game, if not more.
It might be 80 passes by Matt Ryan alone. So you're right on that one, Benny. Everybody in the Packers wide receiver crew is banged up. We didn't talk about Allen Lazard the other day for waiver wire stuff. I think if Allen Lazard is out there, he could be a pick and play this week.
Yeah, I mean, we talked earlier in the week about our boy Geronimo Allison getting, helmet to helmet on that play where he went down to make a play down the field. Devontae Adams has been out and is supposed to be out at least another couple weeks. So, they got to throw the ball. Even Marquez Valdez-Scantling was a little banged up in that last game, and they got to throw it somewhere. Allen Lazard over Jake Kumerow looked like the guy that Aaron Rodgers trusted more. I mean, he gave him 2 or 3 shots down there towards the end zone for some touchdowns as well. Obviously the one he caught, the big one that helped them come back, and then, the one that he dropped that bounced off his face mask when he slipped and, was intercepted. But, I mean, that was another kind of end zone target. He was at the 1-yard line when that happened. So I do think that there's some value in this guy, especially this week with all these all these other wide receivers banged up. Somebody's got to catch these passes. Even though Aaron Rodgers isn't throwing it 40 times, he's still throwing it 25, 30, and somebody's got to catch those passes.
Benny, would you recommend possibly starting this week? What's the deal with Chris Herndon?
So right now, I would still put a question mark on it because he was taken off the exemption list. They gave him an exemption after he came back from his suspension because he was injured. They said he was out there on the field, but it was a limited practice. So, again, we do this Thursday morning. You still need the Thursday practice reports, the Friday practice reports. I'll give an update on it tomorrow, but at this point, I would at least make sure I have a backup plan if he was the guy you were planning on starting. But if he does start, then yes, I do think you put him in there.
If you are a guy that has A.J. Green on the back of your bench, Benny, are you best case scenario, he gets traded, or best case scenario, he end up playing with the Bengals? Or do you just say, you know what, let me just go ahead and cut bait, try to trade this kid and maybe put him on the waiver wire?
No, I don't think I'm going to get rid of – if you held on to A.J.
There's
Green –
no reason to get rid of him yet.
Exactly. If you held him this long, there's really no reason to drop him now. I think best case scenario is he gets traded, Corey, because, I mean, you really don't want to be part of the Cincinnati offense. Although on the flip side, I mean, they are trailing in a lot of games, which means they got to throw the ball a lot. But, it depends where he gets traded to. I mean, listen, if he goes to a team like New England, oh my God, that's amazing. And they need wide receiver help with all the guys they have banged up there. If he goes to a team like, I don't know, Tennessee, and you know what, I don't really think it's I put it this way, I don't know if it's a negative move. At the very least, it would just kind of be a lateral move. But again, if you held him for 6-7 weeks waiting for him to get back on the field, I don't think you drop him right when he's ready to get back on the field. Somebody else is going to pick him up, and it's going to be a Christmas present.
Speaking of getting right back on the field, looks like Devin Singletary will be back on the field this week. He should be participating in practice this week. Benny got that matchup going against the Miami Dolphins. If he's out there, you think you roll him right back out in your starting lineup?
I mean, it depends. There's a lot of guys on bye this week, and if you're in a deeper league, he might be one of the better options. I don't know how the carries are going to break down between him and Frank Gore. Because earlier in the year, even when he was healthy before he got hurt, it's not like he was seeing huge volume.
He was catching passes, though.
Yes, he was doing that. I'll give him that. My biggest problem here is, you can run all over Miami, right? And I don't know if they want to force him into a big ground role in his first game back here. So I think you're still going to see a decent role for Frank Gore. I think both guys, put it this way, I'm not somebody who does the rankings every week. I don't do the season long, this guy's my wide receiver 21 and all that stuff. But I would have him somewhere in running back 25 to 35. And I would have Frank Gore in there too, because the matchup is so good. I just don't think either one of these guys is going to get massive volume.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. I think that could be the case also. It is a tasty matchup, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the program. We break down some of these game lines. Mm-hmm. Tonight, Benny, we get right back to it. It seems like it doesn't never stop, but you got the Kansas City Chiefs coming on a back-to-back game losing streak, going against the Denver Broncos, who I'm not mistaken have won 2 games in a row. When you look at this matchup right here, Benny, you have Kansas City, a 3-point road favorite. You always talk about 3 being that magic number. Mm-hmm. They're laying 3. Obviously, if you want to buy it down to 2.5, it's not a bad idea. What do you think of the very public Chiefs this week versus the against the Broncos? Well, the Chiefs are not going to be as public as they have been the past couple of weeks.
No.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they're definitely not going to be. I mean, the Chiefs have looked pretty bad the last couple of weeks. We've actually seen Patrick Mahomes kind of look average. I don't even want to say average. I mean, we have such a high standard for Patrick Mahomes, but he has not lived up to that high standard the last couple of weeks. Now, again, still thrown for 300 yards, has a touchdown or 2, but it's not the 350 and 3 and the 375 and 4 and the huge numbers that he's been putting up. Denver is a very solid defense, so I don't expect this to be, a 40-40 kind of game. I mean, Denver can't score that many points. I still like Patrick Mahomes in the passing game a little bit. There's going to be no Sammy Watkins, so we know that, you're going to have Tyreek Hill in a tough matchup with Chris Harris on the outside. You're going to have Mecole Hardman and Demarcus Robinson will probably play a role. Denver has been very good at stopping the run, and the KC run game doesn't look good at all. So I don't mind the KC passing game for like fantasy, because I do think that that's the only way they're going to be able to move the ball. And then on the Denver side of it, I like Phillip Lindsay. Phillip Lindsay to me is the better of those two running backs, even though they're kind of splitting it. But the reason why I don't mind using Lindsay, Corey, Lindsay's gotten most of the red zone carries for this team this year. So if you're going to use one of these two running backs, Lindsay's the guy who has more upside.
No doubt. When you mention that, Benny, let's get into a little bit of these player props. Obviously tonight on Elite Fantasy, we'll have the full slowdown slate show and start to look forward to DFS plays for the weekend. But, we got to give our opening line people some props also. Let's start with Phil Lindsay. The rushing yardage, the total is 70.5.
All right, so here's my thing with Phillip Lindsay, right? I don't know if I want to take the rushing yardage total because him splitting the carries with Royce Freeman, and he's splitting, the passing down work with Royce Freeman. The prop I want for Lindsay is his touchdown prop.
Oh, interesting. To score a touchdown, Phil Lindsay.
Yep. Because, like I said, he's the one who's getting the red zone carries. And if you look at Kansas City and what teams have been doing to Kansas City lately, you want to run on Kansas City. That's what you kind of want to do against them. So Lindsay touchdown prop I like more than Lindsay's yardage props today. But I would take the touchdown prop. I haven't looked at it yet to see what it is. A little bit of interest in first touchdown for him, and definitely interest in Lindsay to score a touchdown during the game.
Oh, it's interesting. I do like that, the Lindsay to score a touchdown during the game. I think that's a good way to go right there. A good call on Phil Lindsay with that one right there. On the Chiefs side, you have the regulars, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, each at plus 110 and plus 120 respectively. Other than that, you really don't know, Benny. You see what I'm saying? With the Chiefs, I don't like the score the touchdown prop with them. I guess if you had to pick one, it'd be Tyreek Hill or Kelce, the top two. But the running backs for this team this year, Benny, haven't really been much.
No, and that's the thing. And it's not a good matchup for the running backs either. I got to be honest, Corey, the guy I like the most in this game is Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
So what I really want to do, I would take a look at Kelce catches and Kelce yardage in this game here, even more so than the touchdown prop, because touchdowns to me are, they're a little random when you're talking about the wide receivers on Kansas City. I mean, we've seen it before where Mahomes throws 3 touchdown passes and it goes to 3 different guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I do think – because it's not the easiest matchup on the outside for Tyreek Hill. I mean, Tyreek Hill's still going to do some things, but Chris Harris has been a very good defensive back for a long time. So for me, the way you're going to kind of attack them here is going to be Kelce over the middle. So I wouldn't doubt if we get like a 7 or 8 catch for a 100-yard Kelce game here today. So those
Kelce prop, Benny, for catches is interesting. It's over 6.5.
See, they like him for a lot of catches too. With 6.5 is the.
But it's plus 126.
It's not bad. What's his yardage prop? If his yardage prop is like 70, 75, I want the over.
The yardage prop is 76.5.
Okay, I'll take the over there. I'd rather take the over 76 yards than the over 6.5 catches. What do you have to pay for the over 76 yards? Is that negative money?
$1.12 negative.
You know what? I would actually think that maybe I'll put a little bit on both of these.
Interesting.
Maybe put $50 on both sides of it, and hope that he has. I do think he's going to have a big game, so hopefully he hits both of them.
My auction team needs him to have a big game, Benny. So I hope you're correct. Tyreek Hill receiving 75.5.
I mean, he could, because even in tough matchups, right? Like Tyreek Hill has world-class speed that very few guys can match. So he's always a threat to get behind the defense at least once. And with no Sammy Watkins, he's going to see some volume here. Again, though, it's not the softest matchup for him. So I'm more interested in Kelce than I am in Tyreek Hill in this spot.
Yeah, I think I probably would agree with you on that one as well. I saw an interesting one right here. Tyreek Hill, longest reception, over 29.5.
What's the number? What's the money on that?
Minus $1.08.
I like that because, again, he can take the top off of any defense. There's no defense that this guy can't take the top off with his speed, and he's got a quarterback that can literally flick it with his arm 60 yards down the field. So I have no problem with that. I actually like that prop. I take the over on the Tyreek Hill 29-yard reception.
Another one right here, Benny, that I take an over on is Cortland Sutton's total receptions over 4.5.
Yeah, I like that. What's the yardage for him, too? Because, again, KC is a team that puts up a lot of points and forces teams to pass. So I do think that they're going to have to throw. And when they throw, Cortland Sutton has been the number one guy for them this year, even more than Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, and Emmanuel Sanders still a little bit banged up. But he should be out there tonight. Cortland Sutton receiving yards coming at 67.5. And I'm pretty sure he's probably been over that number the past couple of weeks alone, Benny, in each game. Hold on one second.
Yeah, I feel like he's been in the 70s and 80s in the last couple of games. So I think that's a pretty good number. Of the two, see, my biggest problem with taking a lot of these catching props in this game is Denver's path to victory is to slow this game down and keep it on the ground. So I don't know if there's going to be as many passing attempts as we think. But I do think that if the game script goes a certain way, both of these teams could wind up slinging it a lot, and that's going to mean a lot of yards. So I like the yardage props more than the catches props here.
Cortland Sutton has had, over 62 yards in every game except for 2 this season, and he's coming in tonight at 67.5. So it'll be an interesting sweat with that one right there. But I agree with Benny. I think that is something that you can get down on. Obviously, we'll break it down even more in depth this evening on the Elite Fantasy live stream. You want to get involved with that, going over to elitefantasy.com and sign up and rock with me and Benny in the evening. All right, Benny, let's get into some of these lines. Take a look on a Thursday to see what these things are going like. And then I give you a prop for the night, and then we'll get up out of here. I got one right now, thanks to your help, man. Benny paying $273. So we'll get into that. Arizona and the Giants, Benny, for the most part, is holding steady. The Giants are laying at number 3. The total is 50.5.
Yeah, fantasy-wise, I think there's going to be a lot of production on both sides of this game. A couple injury guys we got to consider. David Johnson, a little banged up, but I think he's kind of leaning towards playing. Christian Kirk's been out for a couple weeks. I think he's kind of leaning towards not playing. And then on the Giants side, Evan Ingram looks like he may wind up playing. Shepard is really up in the air. I don't know if he's going to play. Saquon Barkley is somebody who is looking like he's trending towards playing this week. Patrick Peterson is back for the Arizona Cardinals. So there's a lot of moving pieces in this game. So I have not made a bet on it yet. I'm kind of leaning the Giants right now, and I may even use them as one of my Super Bowl picks. But I will say this, Corey, for fantasy, both of these defenses have been just absolutely giving up monstrous fantasy production to the other team. So for fantasy, this is a game that I think people are going to stack the hell out of in DFS. Anybody who's playing in this game that I have Golden Tate on some teams. I have Evan Ingram on teams, Larry Fitzgerald on teams, Chase Edmonds and David Johnson on teams. I'm playing all my guys from this game. If you have anybody on either one of these teams, they're a good plays this week. There's going to be a lot of production here.
Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts home favorite laying that point. 114 on the money line. The Houston Texans even money on the money line. The total sitting at 47. This is about right where I think it should sit. I've been a supporter of the Indianapolis Colts all season. Been doing it successfully, very well. I'm laying off for this one, though, Benny. This is too close to call for me.
Yeah, I think this game is pretty much a coin flip. I do like the under a little bit in this game, which I know is going to surprise some people because, Houston can put up a lot of points, but I think people are sleeping on how good that Indianapolis defense is. I can kind of feel this game being like a 21-17 kind of game, and I think the total's like 47 or something.
47. So I like that under on that one too, Benny. I would agree with you on that one. The Colts want to grind it down and slow it down. Mm-hmm. Jacksonville and Cincinnati. Once again, I don't see a team falling to 0-7 at home. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not taking the 3.5, looking for that backdoor cover. I would put the Jacksonville's minus 188 and the Jaguars minus 188 in the parlay, but I wouldn't put it on one of my higher wagered parlays, Benny, because it's still a team falling to 0-7 at home. That just doesn't happen.
Well, I think it's going to happen, Corey. Like I said, if the Miami Dolphins weren't in the league, we'd probably be talking about Cincinnati and how bad they look right now. I have a lot of respect for this Jacksonville team. 3.5 is not the best number. I wish it was 3. I may even consider buying the hook, which is something I never do. But I might even take Jacksonville at just minus 3.5. I kind of like them. Again, if it was 3, I'd be all over it. At 3.5, I think that's where the line should be. I just really think Cincinnati is that bad. Like, I'm treating Cincinnati almost like Miami. If you don't give me, if I don't have to lay double-digit points to bet against them, I'm betting against them.
Oh, no doubt. The Rams and the Falcons, we already spoke on this one. Right now, the Falcons coming in at +3. Could get that hook a little bit closer, but I'm on the Falcons. I'll probably put this in some teasers, and I like that +118 too. This is the week the Falcons get the win.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the over in this game. Even
No
at
doubt.
55, I'm on the over. I think this is going to have a lot of points scored. I think both of these teams are going to be passing like crazy, and I'm probably going to look at some of the yardage props, the passing and receiving props for a lot of these guys when the game comes out, even the touchdown props as well. Cooper Kupp, huge bounce back spot here for Cooper Kupp. I expect Cooper Kupp to have a big game. May even roll him out of my cash lineup on DFS.
Not a bad idea right there. Miami and Buffalo up there in Orchard Park. 40.5 is the total. I think we see the under on that one come in. This game right here, Benny, it's a shit show, to be honest with you. I'm not laying 2 and I'm not laying 17 with the Bills, and I would never put my hard-earned money on the Dolphins.
So here's the way I'm looking at this, Corey, right? It's up to 40.5. It was actually under 40 yesterday. It was like 39.5 when I looked at it. At 39.5 with a 17-point spread, that means that you're expecting 28 points from Buffalo and only 11 points from Miami. I don't know if Miami can get to 11 against Buffalo's defense. Yeah. If the Patriots could barely get to 11 against Buffalo's defense, I don't see how Miami does it. So I would be looking at a team total for Miami. If I can get the team total for Miami at like 12 or under, that might be something that I'd be interested in here. I'm the same way. If you want to take Buffalo and throw them in a parlay, I forget what the money line is, but you're not getting much for it. But I really don't see any – I just don't want to take 17 points with the Buffalo Bills. You know what I mean? They're just not an offense that I have enough faith in to put up those kind of points. But, hey, Miami has been literally historically bad, so it's not the craziest idea either.
It's just if listen, opening line, Goonies, you know what I'm saying? We're not putting no money ever on the Dolphins. Minnesota Vikings and Detroit Lions. Minnesota coming to this game. Benny, we discussed laying 1.5. I'm all over the Lions here. Kirk Cousins doesn't win NFC North games.
Yeah, I'm more on the Lions side of this game. I will say that I probably am going to stay away from it, though. I don't think I'm going to be putting any money down on here. My biggest concern is that I just think Dalvin Cook is really that good, and I think that they're going to get back to the run game here. I think that the only way they're going to win this game is by keeping it on the ground, and I think they kind of know that. So not using Kirk Cousins this week, not touching either one of those wide receivers, but I am interested in Dalvin Cook.
The Raiders and the Packers. You don't like the Lions this week, Benny?
I'm not betting on that game. I don't think they're a bad play, but I think that game could wind up going either way.
All right, the Raiders and the Packers. Here goes that 5 again. Let me tell you something, Benny. I like the Raiders in this game right here, catching that 5.5. The Raiders on the 2-game winning streak. The Raiders are 3-2 on the year. Coming off this bye, they've been kind of forgotten about. Everybody saw the Packers win this past Monday night. Give me the Raiders in this one. I'll catch the 5.5, and I'll put them in some teasers too.
So we talked about that 5 number, right? We've talked about it before. It started at 7 and it moved down to 5.5, which means it's going in the Raiders' direction here.
Yep.
The thing that I think people are overlooking is the fact that all of the wide receivers for Green Bay are hurt. So the only way Green Bay can win this game, at least in my opinion, is they're going to have to be pretty run heavy on the ground.
They're not going to run against the Raiders.
Yeah, I also really like the under in this game.
Yeah,
because I feel like if the Raiders have their choice, they're going to want to keep it on the ground too. This game could wind up being like a 17-13 game because I just don't see the explosiveness on either side to put up a big number and score.
San Francisco 49ers in D.C. to take on the Skins. San Fran laying 9.5. That 9.5 is sweet. Oh, excuse me. Drop the microphone. And 9.5 is sweet. Sitting right there for you, Benny, that 9.5. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you like it by 10. It looks like it could be a trap, but I'm not putting no money on D.C. But I don't know how much I like laying 10 with San Fran coming across country. It might be that team total under that you mentioned. In this game right here, that number is 16. I don't know if D.C. can get to 16, Benny.
Yeah, I don't think they can get to 16 either. Something interesting to keep an eye on, too, that would even make me feel better about it. Chris Thompson didn't practice today. Or yesterday, I should say. If Chris Thompson doesn't play in this game and Darius Geis isn't ready to go, then you're basically just left with Adrian Peterson. And this does not set up as an Adrian Peterson game. This is not a game where you would expect them to pound the run and have a lot of success doing it. I love San Francisco's defense. I think their offense is creative enough that, they're going to put points up on the board. I have no problem laying the 9.5. I've been doing it everywhere. This is one of my super pull picks, and this is already one of the teams I bet on. I also even teased it down to 3.5 in a couple spots as well. So I have a lot of exposure to San Francisco.
Tennessee and the Chargers in Tennessee. Tennessee laying that 2 at home. This is no bet for me right here, Benny.
Yeah, I'm of the same mindset. The Chargers, since Melvin Gordon has come back and they've decided they want to try to feed him for some reason, even though Austin Eckler's been playing better, really haven't looked good. And I don't know what to think of Tennessee because, I mean, you're going to have Tannehill in there this week. Is that even an upgrade? Is it a lateral movement? Like, does that make them better? Does it make them worse? I don't know. What I do know is that Tennessee is just – I don't really think either one of these teams is consistent. So I don't want to have anything to do with it. I could see this game going either way.
And next up, we got the New Orleans Saints and the Chicago Bears in Chicago. The money is pouring in on the money is pouring in, excuse me, Benny. The money is pouring in on the Saints, but the line moved in the other direction. That is a classic example of reverse theme. Benny, I am on the Chicago Bears here.
Yeah, I want to know what's up with Alvin Kamara.
No
Because,
doubt.
basically they added Zach Zenner already to their team, which leads me to believe that even if Kamara plays, they're not expecting him to play his normal number of snaps. There's really two guys in this offense that do anything, and it's Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas. I don't know. I'm very worried about this game, to be honest with you, Corey. I want to see what's up with Kamara before I make any moves. Really, I don't think I'm going to wind up having anything on it. Earlier in the week, I was on the Saints. That was the side I wanted, especially even the money line getting money. If Kamara's not 100%, though, I can't put money on Teddy Bridgewater going into Chicago without any weapons. Like that's just not something that makes sense.
That's not that would not be a wise bet right there, Benny. Let me see. What do we got left? We got the prime time. We got the 2 prime time games. We can get to those tomorrow. Benny, I got a 3-teamer for the night.
Go ahead.
UCLA and Stanford in college football under 50.5.
Okay.
Right? We hit that under last night too. Those early week college football unders, they tend to come in. Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos. I like that Phil Lindsay anytime touchdown scorer.
Me too. And
the New York Yankees money line. You parlay those 3 right there. It plays plus 543 on FanDuel.
I like it. Those are, and I mean, again, the UCLA Stanford one, I just take your advice when it comes to college football. But the other 2 are 2 bets that I like today. So I'd be interested in that.
Any NBA preseason tonight for you?
To be honest, I didn't look at it because we're doing the NFL live stream. I basically have been concentrating on whatever I have to do for work is what I've been kind of studying the night before. So I got a lot of NFL news that I'll be dropping for you guys tonight. Corey and I on a live stream, 6 o'clock over at Elite Fantasy. Somebody else is on NBA today. I think it's Thad. So, his article will be good, and I'll read that and throw in the lineup or 2 and hopefully make some money.
Only thing I can see right now, my guess is Atlanta is catching this much point to the Bulls because they're not going to play nobody.
They're back to back, right? They had a game yesterday too.
So in the Garden. They played
a lot of times in preseason they're sitting guys. That's a good call.
What else do I see on this NBA slate tonight? The Bucks laying 7. I don't know. I know the Bucks. The Timberwolves are not as bad as people think, and I told you that yesterday. But I don't know if I'm going to get that. It's too early to get down on that. This was a regular season game. I lit a 7 with the Bucks because, as you guys will find out this year, the Bucks don't play. When the Bucks are favored, they hammer your ass. Mm-hmm. Nuggets and Blazers. I don't know. I don't have enough for that one. Clippers and Mavericks. I don't have enough for that one either. Miami Heat and Orlando Magic. Miami Heat right now is plus 115. I would jump on that. Miami's a team that plays well in an exhibition game. I hate to say it that
way. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I can't say anything. You're right.
All right, Benny, big piece of chicken. I want to give a shout-out to Congressman Elijah Cummings of Maryland. He passed away early morning hours this morning.
Oh, wow.
Somebody who lived in Maryland for over a decade. You know what I'm saying? Elijah Cummings is a guy that's a staple down there. So rest in peace, big piece of chicken to him.
Yeah, I'm going to give my big piece of chicken to LeBron James today. LeBron James had some sick passes last night. I don't know if you saw that game at all. And I got to say, after watching them last night, Corey, I'm changing my bet from the other day. You got to take the over on them with those 50 wins or 51 wins?
50 wins, 50.5.
Yeah, I think I want to be over that 50 wins with them.
All right, there you go for my main man, Benny Ricciardi. It's Corey Parson, the fantasy executive. Don't forget to rock with me and Benny tonight. If you are elite fantasy subscribers, we'll be getting you ready for tonight's game and the rest of the week. For Benny, I'm Corey. Open the line. We are out.